In our ordinary life, for instance, I've already talked about the beauty and joy of the flowers. And in a relationship, you could say the flower symbolizes falling in love. Here's another human being. You listen to them, you appreciate them, there's affection that arises for them. Human beings easily form bonds. We're naturally attuned to affection with each other. It doesn't take long. When you pay attention to someone, listen to their story, a bond of affection arises. But one of the problems is that we can fixate on that and try and make it last. And that's where the joy of connecting with another can turn into a red light habit of trying to freeze them and make them always be like that. It's like me wishing that these flowers would never die. So having some recognition that the things that we love are constantly changing, that the flowers are dying and turning into compost, letting go. There's a fluidity that we have to accept. And that fluidity comes from continually allowing our experience to bring in something fresh and new. So I have, as an example, I brought my compost bucket. So I have here my compost bucket and the flowers. The compost bucket is the part of my experience that is uncomfortable and I'd rather not know about it. It kind of stinks. It's not fresh and beautiful like the flowers. It represents the destination of the flowers, that they're going to end up in here. And on a more poignant level, it's like every birth leads to a death. In my life, I would like to have just flowers, but in fact, compost is always part of it. Part of the view of mindful communication, which comes from the teachings of contemplative psychology, is that you could see that there's compost in every flower and there's flower in every compost. The sense that there's a full cycle. Every conversation has a moment where you really bond to the person and another moment where you let that relationship go and it falls back into a kind of a aloneness again. And so we allow the balance. This is a very important point, that we have a balance between the freshness and joy of the connection and then the, you could say, the stinkiness of the compost. And they're not equal. We can't say that they're equal. We're not going to sit down and put a bucket of compost on our dining room table. We're not going to eat it. There's a natural intelligence to being open, but that intelligence has this paradoxical wisdom of recognizing that you can't hold on to things.